Welcome to the Tectrum podcast. We are the crown and latest and greatest in the world of technology. Whether you are a industry pro or you are just curious about what's happening in this space, you are welcome. I am your host. My name is Ogenera Mara Esibuna Isike, and each week we dive deep into the most exciting innovation, breakthroughs, and trends that shape our future. From the latest smartphones to cutting edge AI, we are here to stay ahead of the curves and put the power of technology at your fingertips. So grab your headphones and sit back, join us as we explore a world of technology. Today we have a guest in our midst, and his name is Mr. Dennis Ofoborh. Hi, Mr. Dennis. I'm so happy and glad to have you here at the same
Thank
time.
you. Thank you.
Our topic of today is exploring the future in technology, what's happening in technology, how is technology shaping our lives. So our first question is, what's the most exciting tech trend you're following right now?
Well, there are a couple of things really. I think that the biggest one, I mean, a lot of people talk about technology changing the way we seek information and things like that. But I think the most exciting thing for me personally, actually, is the transformation of how it changes things within the workplace. So typically, it was I need to find certain documentation for a project I worked on 2 years ago. Previously, you would look in different folders and things like that. People seem to think that technology is, fundamentally changes. It changes various industry, fair enough. But if you think about it from a practical perspective, speaking from sort of my kind of work, that's where I'm seeing the real impact of technology today, especially with the introduction of things like, all these AI and LLM models and things like that. So it's really on the day-to-day stuff. I'm really seeing that.
So how do you see AI shaping the world in the next 5 years?
Yes, that's a good one. You can see that already. The change is happening gradually. I think fundamentally, like things like medicine, like that's huge. Medicine, being able to use, I think it all goes back to this whole conversation around generative AI technology and things like that, right? Being able to look at large sums of data and identify if someone has cancer. I mean, those are the things that are fundamentally like really changing how we do medicine, how we mental health, on another conversation we spoke about that, about mental health, being able to get access to services that someone's readily available to you. Ultimately, you're talking to a computer, but because it has all that information around the different patterns of human condition, you can actually have a conversation and maybe resolve your problem. That's kind of some of the things that is really going to change over the next couple of years, number of years, not even 20, just 5, 6 years. It's happening right now. So, yeah.
So over the years, young people they've had trouble going into technology, emerging into technology. So what do you think is the misconception? Why do people why can people not just go into technology like that? They've done like a series of certifications and they don't have jobs. They're frustrated because these certifications are really expensive. People save up their fortune, just to get them and to no avail. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, that's definitely hard. Imagine the people who are experienced doing qualifications. So they have experience and they have the qualifications. Um, Years ago, 10 years ago, you had the qualification, then the conversation actually starts with an employer. They can be like, okay, you got the qualification, you have the experience, but you know what? We can train you to have that experience. Now the expectation has sort of increased. Now you need to have the certification and some experience to even be in that conversation. That's basically what has sort of changed. And I guess the other thing is employers are expecting people to do just a little bit more. So if you wanted to go into digital marketing agency, for instance, right? And you have no portfolio, you've done no extra work on the side, on your own side projects, they won't consider you. Now imagine 10 people apply, 3 people have done some extra work. They've taken a use case, presented that use case based on what they have, including the qualifications they have. Of course, they're going to be at the very front of the pack. Now, if every 10 people who's applied for a role has done exactly the same thing, then the competition is very fierce. And that's where, in my view, my current experience, where things currently are at the moment, it's so high that people, students in particular, most of them have no chance. Like they have no chance. So you have to think about different strategies on how to get opportunities, So yes, it's pretty
So
tough at the moment.
when you talk about different strategies, what do you think, like, one of the strategy might just be to, get more applications, get more people, more um so yeah, when you do like applications, what do you think the employer really wants? What are they looking for? Is it that they're looking for experience, or probably, yeah, I know experience is one of the things that they're looking for, but what's the what's the duration of experience do you think they would be looking for?
I think it's a bit,
Now it's not just having to do certifications and just having the job.
yeah.
I think maybe they need experience, but we don't know the duration of experience. So they need like 5 years experience, like 10 years experience. What do they want?
Yeah, the technology, especially within technology, right? It changes so often. So I mean, if you're chasing certifications and stuff like that, or some kind of qualification, that's always going to change. But what I've seen, employers are looking for people who are going beyond, above and beyond. I'm not saying you sell your soul to acquire a role, but you're thinking a little bit outside the box. So maybe an example of that is you see a role you like. It tells you what the experience is. You don't have all the experience, but you have the qualifications to be qualified, to be considered for that position. I know that it's a bit overwhelming and exhausting to do this for hundreds of applications you're applying for. But a few key ones, what you want to do, I think you want to reach out to people within that industry and just
Mm,
say, what are some of the challenges? Just someone LinkedIn, what are some of the challenges do you see? Just randomly, people are open to talk you're currently experiencing within the industry. I mean, you're experiencing within that industry at the moment. What are some of the things? And when you speak to maybe 2 or 3 people about this, you get some ideas. You can use that idea in your application to present a case to the employer. So you apply, you got your CV attached, and then your covering letter. You can actually just detail, look, this is why I am. I don't have experience, but I've been thinking about this particular problem I'm seeing within the industry. I would like to talk a bit more about it. That bolsters your application. That if I was applying, if I was interviewing for a role and someone did that, I will probably call you for a conversation. You might not get the role, but you get the conversation. And that's what people want to see, because applications now go through filters. Like no one has a major corporation, KPMG, Sky, BBC, they don't have time to go through 400 applications for a role. So this applications will go through a filter, some kind of CMS system that filters CVs based on various key metrics. Now, a lot of the times people will bombard their CVs with like different metrics, right? But that said, the odd case where it's slightly different, you pass through and you have that opportunity to actually talk with
mm.
someone. And that's one way. Another is just have
One
someone who
secret.
you know.
That's one secret right there.
Yeah. And have another person within the company say, look, I need you to do an introduction for me if they could.
Yeah.
Or pass me to someone who's applying, who might not be credible for the role. But just again, paint a picture, please get me a conversation. So there are ways you can really go out the box and to really get some kind of conversation, because it is crazy at the moment. It's highly competitive out there at the moment.
Okay, so do you think AI is creating more jobs than it's replacing it?
It's changing the landscape. That's what I think it's doing.
Okay.
It's not taking away jobs. It is taking some jobs away, let's be honest, but it's creating new types of jobs. There's going to be new types of roles. I mean, we've all heard the term prompt engineering. Is the ability to create prompts that will allow you to get more factual or close to real information based on what you're searching for. So there's roles like that, prompt engineering. There's roles where there's still the old traditional role from a technology perspective, where you need someone to stitch various systems together as an engineer of sorts. So they are roles being created as we go along, because the technology means that we're having to no longer need to learn a lot of the lower level stuff. We're having to use technology to create something else. I get that's a bit difficult to understand, I guess, conceptually, but in layman's terms, it's, I spoke about AI being used for medicine. Like medicine, I'm speaking about medicine a lot because I see a lot of news. I see a lot of articles and journals and stuff about how it's fundamentally changing the industry. So things like that.
So you've been in tech space for quite some time.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, what do you think you have learned from technology?
What have I learned from technology? I think the biggest one is, or the biggest challenge for us within the field is there's this constant pressure to always keep up to date, try and be on the forefront of the technology. So you're always credible, you're always needed and stuff like that. I think that's the biggest thing, I think, and the biggest challenge more than anything else. There are ways to do that, because I mean, like you would know, if you look at your connections within LinkedIn or some various other sources, everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, most,
Majority.
the majority, they
Yeah.
do these extra things. They create their own voice, and I think that's quite important. They're creating their own voice. So it's no longer just sat back and absorbing and trying to absorb as much as possible. You have to be a leader in that perspective. You might not be vocal on LinkedIn, but maybe within your own organization, you're saying, look, I've had a thought about how we'll integrate HR with some IT system, Copilot. Like I've had a thought, this is how we'll do it. Be vocal about that. That's kind of how that's one way you actually stay abreast, because you're having to learn and then teach. They say if you want to learn, you teach. So it's quite a thing to sort of do that.
What is one piece of tool you can live without? One piece of AI tool that you feel, okay, I have to use this and I cannot do without this.
Yeah, what piece of AI tool I can't do without? AI tool. I mean, because we say AI, right? AI has been there for a long time, right? It's been
Yeah,
there for a long time. We don't think about that. Like
don't, but I mean,
autocorrect is an AI tool. So I think one tool that's really done me very well is Grammarly. Grammarly is an autocorrect tool that allows you to accurately type correct sentences, form correct paragraphs and things like that, because of some of the challenges I have around words. Sometimes I write 1, 2, 3, but I see 2, 3, 4. That's just the way my head works. So I need something else to help me make that correction. So that's for me, that's some of the things I can't do without, like, now, because I'm so used to it. Just helps me make sure that if I write a message or an email in particular.
so now we're going to call you a technology pro. So what's your advice for startups? Those people trying to get into technology, trying to make something out. What do you think your advice would be to them?
I think it's quite a difficult one, though, because technology is vast. There's so many areas. There's so many. Which part of technology you want to? If we look at it from, if you say technology, right, it's like trying to eat the whole elephant, right? Like they say, you can't eat the whole elephant, so you have to pick a piece. Like you have to identify sort of the area that is of some interest to you. Is it? I think there's multiple things. There's obviously industry, because industry has different things. There's also, do you want to use technology to build things? Do you want to build software? Then you're thinking more developer oriented. Do you like the data part of it? Do you want to visualize? A little bit about this. Then there's data visualization. Do you want to look at it from a marketing perspective? Then you're talking about maybe some analytics, some social branding and all that sort of stuff. So there's different areas in how you can use technology. But I think the one way that's sort of consistent is my personal advice to anyone who wants to go into technology: don't try and Google for the one answer to resolve all your problems. Find a couple of things and do all of them. You need a variation of things to be able to make up your mind, to come up with a decision around what you want, because you will never find the answer Googling one course you've been told to do because you feel that will solve all the world's problems. It doesn't work like that. Experiment with like 3 or 4 or 5 things. Just spend time. I want to spend a month or so, a number of hours, 20, 40 hours. I'm going to research this and see if it's something that really, that really gets me thinking about
Yeah.
it. In that way, you start to get a good idea as to what you might like to do. Then you can
There,
focus and say, "This is it."
is there any easy side of technology? Like, is one type of technology more easier than the other? You know what I mean? Maybe data visualization is more easier than a creating of AI tools, or well, is there like an easy side of technology that a startup can, go into?
So is there like so if I was to rephrase that question, is there like an easier area a startup can
Yeah,
go in?
they're like easy area that okay, I want to go into technology. I'm confused about the one to go into. Can I just start doing things, taking like baby steps, little by little, before I go to the bigger ones? Is is there something like that any startup will want to go into?
It varies, right? I think the thinking should be, what is a problem we're trying to solve?
Yeah,
Like, what's a problem we're trying to solve? Like a problem might be we want to be able to create a way to identify people across across the world. Forget the world, just your country. So you have a country and they want to integrate some kind of centralized identity and access, not identity and access, an identity management system, where if you went to the bank and you showed me this identity management system or this ID, it could be virtual. I guess in the case of like technology and things like that, it will be sort of like an identity ID, and not identity ID. It will be a software related type ID. It also could be physical, but with this ID, you will be able to be. They will be able to verify that you are who you say you are, right? Now, the challenge with something like that is it means that if you introduce something like that, every authority would have to conform to that standard. So the biggest problem would be getting every authority to conform to that standard, including the government, of course. They'll need to be the say so. The equivalent of that in the traditional sense is your passport. That's the ID. But now think about it. Not everyone has passports, funny enough. Or if you look at it from the electoral vote perspective, the electoral vote, right? Where you vote, everyone's on that. They use that to get the number of people in the country and who's voting for what party, so on and so forth. But having something like that, where if I wanted to buy something from, I don't know, Argos, for instance, and I don't really want to always have to enter my details, I can use this ID system because it's verified me as who I say I am. So that's just sort of one idea. The problem I'm trying to make is people need to think, especially in the entrepreneurial space. I'm no different to that. I also have these sort of challenges, like what problem can I try to solve? And then trying to solve that problem using technology and various other ways to do it. So those are the sort of the things. It has to be a problem because it's not, I'm going to come up with something that no one really needs, because the world is, especially now, someone comes with the most simplest of tool, just an app that says, I don't know, like the app that says, I'm not going to be home, someone pick it up from my neighborhood. Everyone in the neighborhood has the app.
yeah.
Everyone in the neighborhood will sign up to that because it's practical things. Like that's what people want apps for. That's what people want. So you can just easy do in a whim. Just in the press of a button, your problem solved. It's not like something major. And that's kind of that's what my thinking used to be till I had these conversations with people who build systems, who do these sort of entrepreneurial pursuits. And you say, it's nothing big. Just what's the problem you're trying to solve right now? Like, what's the small, like, that's the venture.
Okay. All right. That's it for today. Thank you so much, Mr. Dennis. I really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it. And I hope tech startups they learn from this. Thank you so much.